Yo, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Rush in the building, holding it down with the Labudo Network. Right now, I'm promoting my side hustle, Rush Enterprise. If you're in the state of New Jersey, you need armed guards or unarmed guards, call up my business line and I'll line it up. The bigger the contracts, the more money we make together, you heard? Yo, today I got a living legend in the building. He go by the name of Wordsworth. Hey, yo, Wordsworth, man, let the people know who you are. Let them know what you about and give them your MO. You're
Yo, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? I'm Wordsworth. A lot of y'all will know me from the Lyricist Lounge albums, also the Lyricist Lounge TV show, and then also in a group with Punchline and Wordsworth, Punching Words, in a group with Master Ace, EMC, and just rapping and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Now I'm an educator and a professor and a whole bunch of other things. But that's where you may know me from. Rhyming on Tropical Quest album, rhyming on Black Star album. Yeah, it's a whole bunch to talk about. So yeah.
oh man, me coming up as a youngin' man, yo, Wordsworth, man, you were the talk of the block, man. Like everybody thought you was nice, and your rhyming skills was on point like a scoreboard. My first question for you is, man, like, yo, what are your thoughts about the hip hop culture in the state right now? Do you think it still possesses the art of MCing, and if so, give me the breakdown on that.
Yeah, it still possesses the art of MCing. You got MCs as Rashid Chappelle, Conway, Jay Royale, Jamil Honesty. Like, there's a lot of dope people out there. Aida, Master Ace, myself, Punchline, Naps and Dreads, um, Apathy, Sage. There's a whole bunch of people out there. I can keep going on, but you just you got to go out there searching. You just got to go out there searching for it, and it's out there. But it is more so like because it's so overpopulated with records dropping. You might just feel like it's more difficult to find, but it's out there if you search. And what I do like about the digital era is you can find something you like and then it'll refer you to somebody else that's in that same realm, right? So they kind of like say, okay, you like Wordsworth, check out Little Brother. You like Little Brother, then check out John Robinson. Check out Jay Rawls. So there's a lot of other people out there. Nico is Midas the Beast. There's a lot of people out there, all lyrical. It's so many people.
Where I mean, yo, like like back in the day, like when people used to battle, whatever. I don't know if you're still familiar with MC Juice and Supernatural. Like that was kind of like the highlight clip of the underground scene. You know what I mean? And that's that art form of rhyming, with the syllables and the metaphors and all that. That's kind of like it died off and it kind of transformed into something different. I'm not sure if you're up to date with the battle rap scene right now, but I think those two type of styles of battling are totally complete different now. Like it's more aggressive, more I mean, there's still punchlines, you know what I mean, and metaphors and all that, but it's that style of rhyming it's totally different from the early 90s and 2000s, and I want to get your perspective on that. Like, what's your thoughts on the new style of the current style of battle rap today?
Well, to start with your first part of the question, like Supernat, highly respect Supernat, what he's done, him in the Guinness Book of World Records freestyling. Shout to Juice. When I first met Juice, actually Juice was a teammate of mine. We did the Rap Olympics. We were part of a group called Rap Olympics. So you got the Olympics out there, that sport. We was actually on a team together. It was me, Juice, Quest the Mad Lad, Thurston Howell the third, and the last person on our team, Eminem. So we all were teammates. And that's how I got to meet Juice. So that style and that ideology or just way of approaching like freestyling, that's in all of us. We were just all masters at that aspect of it. So To freestyle, you just kind of was brought up to do that, especially in New York, because you could run into a battle at any moment. But to go into where it is now, I'm heavy into battle rap. I know everybody that battle raps as far as who they are. You know what I'm saying? So I could tell you about battle rap all day. My favorite battle rapper, I would say the greatest of all time is going to be Tay Rock. That's what it is for me, because his strength of schedule with it. He doesn't duck nobody. If a lot of the people that people may say are the GOATs, if they had the record he had of how many rap people he's battled over 50. So if you put those same people that we keep saying the GOATs against 50 other battlers, they would have way more losses, especially because Tay Rock transitioned from the old era into the new era. So a lot of the other people that people may see iconic ducked a certain era, so they missed out on a lot of battles that they may have taken else when they were trying to transition. Tay Rock was, no matter what, he takes any newcomers, old comers, whatever the case may be. Like, he just battled Mike P, and it was a classic battle. So Tay Rock, I would say, is the GOAT. I would say up there on that is also, I would say maybe Arsenal might be my next GOAT there, on the Mount Rushmore. Then I would probably go, I'm probably going to go either Geechee Gotti or Rum Nitty. Rum Nitty, I think, is going to probably be on there. And for me, I love Twerk is one of the best writers ever. Like, really, like, writers ever. If you ever break down the wordplay that Twerk uses to put a line together, it's some of the best written work ever. He's not necessarily just saying anything to get to the 4-bar punch, but if you listen to the content and the context to get to it, it's some of the best writing ever. Of course, I like Lux, I like Mook as well, but for me, I would just say that those guys that I named, they just have a certain thing, like a Geechee Gotti is able to tell a story, and also a cadence that he has, also with his background and the believability factor that comes into that. So those are my favorites right there. I could talk about it all day as far as anybody you name or mention. So.
Where I mean, yo, you're definitely by your top 5 of battle rap, like, I could tell you're tapped in. So, man, that's dope, man. Like when you have you met any of these battle rappers, and if so, like, do they still remember you from back in the day? Like, because I know you done inspired a lot of MCs as well.
I've met I haven't met many of them. If I actually met Arsenal in the airport one day. We were both going overseas. And we ran into each other in the airport. I went to big him up. He recognized me too, so it was dope, because he was like, "Yo," he had just been watching the Lyricist Lounge reruns on YouTube. And what was crazy, he had called his girl at the time to verify. He was like, "Yo, babe, guess what I was watching? Guess what I'm talking to in the airport?" So that was dope for me, because of course I respect him. So for him to have been watching it and then us to meet in the airport, we were both going overseas. He was going overseas for a battle. I was going overseas for a show.
Yo, that's dope, man. That's dope, man. Man, like, okay, yo, my next question for you would be like, yo, okay, the TV show Lyricist Lounge, right? Like, it had its debut with MTV and all that. Like, how, like when you got the script, right, on like Lyricist Lounge, like, what was your thoughts going through your head on, getting involved with that TV show before it came into fruition?
I'm actually one of the creators. It actually came from me freestyling. So it was a freestyle that was caught on tape with me teaching. So basically, see, I was sitting here, right? So I was in a room with about 30 other MCs. We're doing the Lyricist Lounge album interludes and rhyming on those transitions. It's 30 of us in Firehouse Studios. So Wise Guy and Gasson, they're very known for having radios and recording everything. These guys, I consider them the archives of underground hip hop. If you were ever to meet them, they have probably almost every event on tape. Like, because they were twins and they would divide up and actually go to every event. So if it's 2 a night, they go to each one, record it, and come home. So they were there that night as well. So I'm thinking the cipher starts and they're going around. And my mindset is, how do I do something that's better than everybody else? So what I did is similar to me sitting here. I acted like the wall was a board and I started teaching, rapping from there. And then everybody was raising their hand and I would answer them in rhyme. So that gets videotaped. Another gentleman named Jacob Septimus gets the tape and he's like, man, I think this could be a TV show. I go to visit him in Manhattan. He's like, yo, this right here could be a TV show. I was like, back then I'm like, so I told him like this, all right, man, if that's what you think, I remember I was like, yo, man, holla at me when you think it could be a TV show. I blew it off, you know what I'm saying? Because if you remember, there was a certain level or there was a certain what should I say? Not schedule, but a certain regimen or a certain direction back then, right? So first you rap, get known on the street. After you get known on the street, you try to get it, you get on mixtapes or you get a record deal, right? So there was a certain way. After you get the record deal, then you get on TV and you get movies. That was what it was. Will Smith, boom, Ice Cube. We had a certain template. So I skipped that template. So I couldn't believe it, right? Because I'm rapping, getting known on the street, but then I skipped the whole record deal and I go straight to TV. So that's what was kind of crazy to believe at that time. So eventually it's me, shout to Danny Castro and Anthony Marshall, the creators and founders of Lyricist Lounge. Co-founders, Lyricist Lounge. They started with Collage Projects and then they started Lyricist Lounge. So shout to them, because if you don't get a TV show if they don't pick the right characters. So they picked Masterful. They picked, Baby Power. They selected who should be the people to present MTV the idea. So we had to do a sketch. In front of them live. So they picked us, we wrote a sketch, we flew out, and then we did it live. And then by that Monday, they was like, you guys have a pilot. And if you want to kind of hear about that too, I have the founders of the Lyricist Lounge on my channel, y'all. If y'all get a chance to check out my channel, I have a podcast called What Words Are Worth, and I interviewed Danny and Anthony at Lyricist Lounge. It's one of my longest interviews, and I asked them everything. I found out stuff I didn't know, how they met. I really went in depth to get to where we are. But that's how the Lyricist Lounge came about. And if anybody ever gets a chance to look at it, if you look in the credits too, we became producers. So that's a producer credit too for me knowing how to produce the show as well. So it's a lot of stuff. And then we had Thurston on there. We would actually call a lot of our friends back home and just like, yo, fly out. And they fly out and we get them on the show. So that's how dope it was too. So shout out to Masterful, Baby Power, and Def Jeff as well. Def Jeff did all the music.
Oh, okay. There was a particular show, right? Well, not show, but particular episode that's a masterpiece to me, which was the heist, man. Like, yo, how did y'all come up with the idea every bar was hitting, and how the pixel of it, the actual episode and all how all the characters act out the bars was flawless, man. Like, yo, I know you got executive producer points with that. So how did you come up with the whole idea with the heist, man? Talk to him.
All right, so the heist is the first skit we ever wrote, and man, to paint that scene, man, it's kind of wild. Imagine we sitting in the room, right? And we know this is about to go on TV, right? So we know there's a discussion we had to have. Dudes had a discussion. One, what was fire was we was picking that beat. We got to use that Mob Deep Quiet Storm beat. So we in the room playing that. We like, yo, this sound like a heist. This gonna be crazy, right? Peace. So we're sitting in the room, right? And dudes is like, yo, we gotta write this. We wrote some rhymes, right? We wrote some rhymes, And we was like, nah, that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? We got to really write it like, because remember, so we have to have this discussion because we had to have this discussion because check it out. We're used to rhyming outside on the street, but we had to have the discussion that this ain't for the street. This ain't for us. This is for the world. So we got to make sure the rhymes are so fire that they're clear for the grandmas and the kids and our people, and that anybody will respect it. So that's how we wrote it. So then when you hear that, good morning, Sharon, my name is Sharon, correct, we withdrawal and endorse the check, you know, withdrawal, act cool, act like it's calm, act like it's normal, and don't forget to hit the quiet button. Don't even think of touching, don't ever hit the alarm, be quiet, be calm, and it's time of the bomb. And then like we made sure when we wrote that and we said it's a rap, because we was writing real rhymes. So even to this day, that's why you can watch it to this day, and the rhymes are just crazy. All the rhymes are crazy because we knew when we wrote it, you know, we knew that it would stand the test of time forever with the bars. But it definitely took a discussion, because if you don't discuss that, right, Rush, you might get the street rhyming. You know what I mean? You might get the hop in the bank and then jumped off to the such and like you all over the place. Nah, we got to tell a story. This is TV. This is for everybody. This ain't for our own thing like that. So that's how we did it. Shout out to Crown Heights. What up? I grew up in Crown Heights a little bit for my high school years. So shout out to Crown Heights, right on Class in the Eastern Parkway. I lived right in there with my cousin.
Yo, shout out to SJ for the $10 super chat, man. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it. Yo, okay. My next question for you, right? Yo, what was it like working with Tracy Ellis Ross? Was she like easy going on set working with her? And if so, like give us the breakdown.
Yeah, super easy to work with. That was one of her first TV gigs right there. And then at that same time, then she also had auditioned for Girlfriends. So that's why she was able to transition from the Lyricist Lounge show and went right to Girlfriends. And then that's what led into that other, you know, forte of doing shows and movies and stuff like that. So it was everybody down to earth. Remember, we're doing something that's brand new that nobody's ever done, like as a TV show. So we all were just trying to get a job done and figure out what's the best way to make it happen. That's pretty much what our ideas was, right? Because it's all new. Everything was new to everybody. It was nothing that you ever seen this before. Franklin Ave, what up? What up?
Now, working in dealing with some of the mechanics of the industry, like what are some of the things that stuck with you that you learned from, dealing with publishing, working out deals, getting executive producing points? Like, what are some of the key bullet points would you hold on to that you learned from the game?
Yeah, with the show, I didn't get executive producer. That was actually Claude Brooks, but we got producer credit, which is a big deal still. One of the dopest things about that was I learned a lot. I paid a lot of attention to the TV. Like I listened to the directors. I went to wardrobe. What was wardrobe doing? How to edit, how to make the music, how to clear the music. A lot of things when I was doing TV was really about me just learning everybody's job. That's the thing that I've done and I do to this day is just making sure I'm learning everybody's job, no matter where I'm at. Right. So even after that, today I actually teach TV production. So if I didn't learn all that stuff from back then, I probably wouldn't be teaching TV production currently. I teach TV production, film production, and music production currently. And that's based off of my life experiences and based off of me doing a TV show. So I'm able to produce a TV show because I paid attention to a lot of that. So understanding the producer, the line producer, the assistant director. I just watched everybody's job. So I would suggest everybody just watch everybody's job. And then when it comes to dealing with like the music industry, I learned a lot from the music industry based on publishing. I learned about publishing real early. And one of the main things that I learned as well was to register everything. So I'll give you, I got a lot of defining moments in my life of when I could tell you when I changed my mindset. So this was a major defining moment. Once I learned about publishing, and how I learned about publishing, y'all, is way different than today, right? Today you can go online, you can see people complain about it and, you know, kind of get the insight of it. I learned about publishing from reading the Source magazine and seeing and reading about Ice Cube throwing, you know, throwing stuff at the people to get his checks and tearing up the office. Because remember, the Source was a month magazine, but you're getting the news a month late. Because remember, the magazine might come out, you know, if it come out February, it's really March news. So once I saw that Snoop was making a big deal about it, Ice Cube, and I'm starting to learn these artists are making big deals about it, I'm like, what is publishing? I researched it on my own. So ever since I was around 17, 18, my mom, she had a computer. I'm living with my mom in Brooklyn, y'all. I lived on Caton and Coney Island Avenue, right there across the street from the park right there. And what I did is all those underground songs I rhymed on, I went and found all of them and I put them right next to me on the chair, on the side on the floor. Put them right on the floor. I registered everything I did since I was 17. And so, yeah, because I learned about it and I said, okay, what is this? So then I got the paperwork. I sat there and I went in there in a computer and I just put, and you know what I did too? I gave everybody even splits, people that never registered their stuff. I did it. Yeah, because when I knew it was 100%, I had a split. And what you could do is put people's name in, and then if they come later on and claim it, they get their portion. If you don't, so here's how it works too. If you put in a song and you register it, and I come and contest that and be like, that's not the split, everybody money stops. They stop all of our money. So obviously nobody complained because I kept it even. I did, if it's 4 of us, I did 25 each of us. If it's 2 of us, I did 50. If it's 3 of us, I did 33 in the third. So I did that since I was 17. So on my statements, it goes all the way back to then. So I learned that, like I said, I learned that from reading the stories and the horror stories that a lot of our favorites went through. And then, I mean, if you ask me certain things, I could pretty much kind of like give you an understanding of how I learned it and how to do that. I actually have a master's in music business from the U. Yeah, I have a master's in music business. And like I said, you got cut off earlier. I actually teach TV, film, and music production every day. And then at night, on Mondays, I actually teach the art of poetry and hip hop at Monroe University online in New York. So this is what I do currently, all of that stuff. So it's a lot of stuff. I'm here, y'all. Y'all got questions. I can answer like so much stuff, you know.
Yo, that's dope. Okay, yo, it's like, okay. My first question for you, right? Like, okay, when you registered all your joint, did you do it through like ASCAP, EMI, BMI, like what? Because you know, a lot of times those big companies, they take 50% of your publishing, and the best way to do it is through ASCAP. Know what I mean,
Well,
I know you're like, yo, 50%, like.
yeah,
If
I could break all that down for you.
yeah, I mean, you're because of your the work you put in the game. Like you'll bypass that and you'll be able to negotiate your percentage. But I'm speaking from the perspective of somebody first trying to learn the business as they go. They might not know, like, hey, you know, you get ripped off when a huge publishing company like EMI or BMI take like 50% of your joint off rip. Know what I mean? So whatever team you have along with you, just take that 50% and split it with whoever you're working with or to yourself. Know what I mean? So like when you register your joint, did you do it through ASCAP or a bigger company?
I registered everything through BMI. I got BMI at that time. So when you go on there to select it, you actually could select if you know somebody else's PRO. If you know their performing rights organization, you just say ASCAP. If you don't know it, you just put NA and you just put their name though. Because then the publishing administrator, whoever finds it, could actually find their name, their legal name, and line it up to the song, right? So currently, so I haven't for, I would say 25 years or so, I have a publishing administrator. So literally every shout to Michelle. Anything I do, I just email it and they do it for me. Like a whole album, I give them the splits and it gets registered. So all my stuff gets registered, and she also pitches everything for TV. So I do stuff for TV. So like I have music on Power, Bel Air, SpongeBob, Netflix, Peabody and Sherman. I'm on there as myself, rapping as a cartoon. I do like all of that stuff, and I have that registered through her. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of stuff is just like, I'm the type of person, once you tell me, I go do it. I'm not like a you tell me and I'm not gonna go do it type person. But as far as splits, right? So typically how it works, if I got offered a deal from Avatar Records one day, and they wanted to give me, this was like years ago, I think it was like 150,000 for 75% of my publishing. Then they wanted me to get like through like 3 or 4 albums, and then each album I get back some of the publishing. And I was like, no, because what I told them straight up in their face was like, I don't want to do that deal, because if I'm mad at you tomorrow, you still make money from me. So I told him that. So I said, I won't do that. You know, I would never give my publishing away. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how that works, right? That's, you know, you had the Locks in that situation. It was very hot about that. A lot of people to this day was mad at Puff about a lot of that,
But
right?
yo, the lock situation was crazy because Interscope actually paid Puff for their whole entire contract,
Yeah.
and like yo, they invested a lot of money. They paid a lot to take the locks from out of Bad Boy. You know what I mean? So yeah, that side of the business can get very tricky and real expensive. You know, I mean, especially if you're, you know, a valuable artist or
Well,
group like the locks.
here's the
Like,
thing.
yeah,
Here's the thing, Rush. The thing, Rush, is this, right? When you're making music, you're playing lotto every time you make a song. That's your ticket. You feel what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, you don't know what your publishing is worth. Even when you make your first album, nobody knows. You don't know. It could be that one song could become a hot song 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You don't know, right? Some people can maximize their catalog, like a T-Pain who sold this for like 100 million, I think, or some craziness like that, right? You got artists that actually sell their catalogs because they feel like that catalog has maximized. But what's dope about it today is also they're making other hits after. So that catalog of hits, they may have sold off, but now they started a new run when they're getting that publishing. Plus they got paid for that. So it's just really understanding who you are and how you believe in yourself. My vibe was like, I'll bet on me in the long run, because if I look at it, I might still be in that contract right now, because if you get an advance, you got to recoup that advance, and then you could possibly retain your rights back based on the terms. So it's all about terms at the end of the day. So you got to figure out what terms you're going to do. And my vibe was like, I would rather bet on myself than be mad at somebody and next week. You know how industry is. Yo, I signed that deal with you. Yo, when the album dropping, well, we got this to put out, this to put out. Now you sitting there and then you rhyming on all this stuff and your album ain't coming out, but they're getting that bulk of that money. So let's say you get a song on a TV show like Power. So I'll use Power. I had a song on Power. I had a song on Bel Air in the season 3 in the beginning. As soon as it starts, 3rd episode, right? You get a nice check. You get paid for. You get a nice check. You split it up, the masters, right? Whoever owns the masters, you get that portion, and then whoever owns the publishing, you get portion. So there's 2 portions to this. So let's say you get $5K. That's $2,500 for the master, $2,500 for the publishing. Now, if you own the master and the publishing, you get the whole $5K. See? So if you don't, then here's where it gets crazy, right? If the person that owns the master disagrees with the amount they would get, they stop your money. Because they be like, nah, I don't want to do that. So now you hot because you like, yo, I could have got that 25. They don't want to do it. So then now you might be like, all right, well, I'll give her 500. So now they getting 3,000, you getting 2,000 because you sacrifice yours to help. You see how that rolls with that? There's so many dynamics to the negotiations of it, but at the end of the day, you got to be comfortable with what you think your stuff is going to be worth. And you just got to figure out, do you think you're writing and gonna make value of what you create? And that's kind of where it goes at. There's some questions here. I don't know if you want me to answer questions now or later. Let me know.
you can answer this question if you want.
Nah, I don't think they're lazy. I just think that they don't have the guidance, right? So when you're a young artist, you just want to rap and put music out. And today you can put music out just by hitting a button, literally. Like I can just upload it. I don't care about mixing, mastering, nothing. I just upload it. It's out there and I get fame. Fame is the new currency, right? Attention is the biggest currency. It's been like that for years, but today is more so than anything. The clout and all that, as you want to say that. So why would I care to want to learn that when I just did it without you? I got the music out. You can't tell me nothing. I just did it. So it's not that, it's the fact that they don't have guidance. And they gotta have somebody they want to listen to. And that's not a music thing, man. That's just a life thing. That's a life thing. You ain't even gotta be music. You could be just somebody that's hustling on the street. You don't respect that person's game, you ain't gonna do it. So that's what it's about. They would like to learn the ins and out. Sophisticated. The way that I could tell you why they would like to learn the ins and out, because I teach music production every day in class. So I teach music business with my students. So they willing to learn because of the setting they're in. They respect me teaching them as well. We're recording music, got a full production studio in the classroom, and they respect it. Do music videos, we do everything. So when I'm explaining to them, like, yo, you got to register this, you got to get this. And then I show them, I go on the board. Yo, you got TuneCore. If you want to put out something through TuneCore, you got SoundLab, you need artwork. We go through the whole thing, but they're with me every day. So I'm there for the guidance. So a lot of times it's really about having the guidance, man. It's not that they're lazy. It's just kind of having who you want to listen to. And that's where everything. When we was all young, we ain't listen to nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Man, yeah, I mean, yeah, that it's definitely a part of a person's character that wants to learn and thrive in whatever lane they want to be in. Yo, my follow-up question, right?
Mhm.
Yo, explain to the audience, because you touched on it a little bit in the beginning of the interview, but yo, explain to the audience the difference between a underground artist and a mainstream artist, because back when I was coming up in my era, the underground artists got more respect than the elite artists, such as your Busters, your Ice Cubes. For some reason, the underground artists like a Chino Excel, a Cannabis will get more love and respect within the hip hop culture. Could you break down the science to that for the audience, man? Talk to them.
Yeah. Well, and that still kind of is the same thing today in a way, to an extent. Not really though. But let's go back to like 90s, right? We're just kind of figuring out how to get on radio heavy, right? The money becomes so huge in hip hop, right? So it was money early on. Of course, you got the Message, Sugar Hill Gang, you got, all of that going on, but it becomes real major mega in the 90s. And this is when it starts to trying to figure out how to make radio records, right? So the radio records became formulaic. There was a formula for that. Underground records wasn't really formulaic, right? You rhymed about what you wanted to rhyme about. You might rhyme about your car. You might rhyme about, just like having a hard day, right? But hip hop kind of stemmed from a lot of like party records as well, and then you have the Message that really took it to the street, which is probably one of the best records ever made too. So in 90s though, it started becoming more big business because commercially hip hop started getting on the radio, this attention, and it started being a formula. Okay, 16 bars, a hook that can sing. What's friendly to the ladies? The women are the ones that's buying the records. The guys, we show up, but the women are buying the records. White America's buying the records, right? That's what a lot of them were saying. Hip hop had a big white audience. So people are trying to say like it's no longer just in the hood. So this formula is working. So hey, we need somebody that's going to sing, do this on the hook. Then you have underground, in which you got us just rapping about how good we are, right? That's not a universal message. At some point that runs out. You rapping 10 records about how dope you are didn't work, you see? So we had some guidance from we had some of us starting to get into, some of us artists, even underground artists, started becoming A&Rs, working in the industry aspect and learning about the game, right? So they're starting to look, they're interning, right? So there was a lot of times back then, the underground artist was interning in the commercial labels. And then And then eventually,
Yo,
the
50 did the same thing. Like he would intern and learn so many different aspects of the game or how it worked. So
you got
you're completely right about that, man.
you got to intern. A lot of people intern, even underground people intern. I remember Thurston used to work at MTV. So a lot of people did a lot of interning that were underground, and they were learning the ins and outs. And some of them transitioned from underground to being actual like full-fledged big millionaires. So like Andre Harrell was in a group called Jekyll and Hyde. He was a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So we talking about some of these big name presidents and executives were actually
Right. They were artists themselves. Yeah,
themselves. That was
yeah.
kind of
And
underground.
for the audience, they may not know who Andre Harrell, but Andre Harrell is the founder and president of Uptown Records, right?
Yeah. And
And
he was Puff's boss. And then
right,
eventually, once Puff got bigger than Andre Harrell actually fired Puff, and then Puff wound up becoming bigger than Andre Harrell, and they hired Andre Harrell back.
right, and that's where the birth of Bad Boy Records stemmed from. Know what I mean,
A lot of that, yeah.
yeah,
So just kind of giving you an understanding that there were dynamics that came into play of people that were street artists made it into the industry, and then they learned the ins and out of what makes it to the radio. So then they would grab artists that they felt was valuable for radio. So then you got people that may be a sex symbol or a rapper that, and they're looking for that because they're being taught that's what sells. They're not being taught how dope you rap. They're being taught what sells to America on a commercial level. And those things sometimes are still tried and true, right? What works on a commercial level. So they weren't thinking anything about grab this underground guy that's rapping about how dope he is. That doesn't reflect to the lady that lives on the corner. So that's kind of how it kind of got to where we started getting that formula going on. Today, you still have now today is different though, because you actually can control the actual contact to the artist, right? You can put something out, put videos out on your own. I talk about this all the time for those that are maybe younger, to explain to them the journey to get a deal is different, right? Back in the days, you had to rhyme in the neighborhood. You might have to battle. You go to all the open mics, you make a demo, you rhyme on mixtapes, then you hopefully get a meeting. You get a meeting, and then sometimes the meeting gets canceled on you while you're sitting there waiting an hour. You waited an hour or two, and they still just cancel on you and say, come back. Then you try to go to another meeting, gets canceled. Then you get the meeting. Then you got to play the music. Then they say, yo, it sounds dope. Let me see what I can do. Then they never call you back. Then you got and this has going on for so many different artists. And some of them A&Rs missed out. And some of them artists became big. And that's just kind of how it is.
I kind of want to touch on that a little bit, man. A lot of times when artists are trying to negotiate or try to obtain an actual deal, a lot of times the labels already want a finished product. They want you already be having radio promo already, like your radio's getting spins already. You're accumulating a certain amount of BDS spins and etc. So because a lot of times, right, and most artists don't know this, but when you accumulate BDS spins off a record by yourself, that's a collateral for the label to be able to obtain a loan to fund your record deal. You know what I'm saying? So the label's looking at this like, yo, this nigga ain't got nothing on no radio. He ain't got no bread. Nah, like it's a waste of time. Like I don't want to invest in something that somebody didn't invest in themselves. Like, do you want to break down that science and give me an opinion on that? Talk to me.
Yeah. What happened was once you got into the digital era of doing things and people weren't spending a whole bunch of money to do a video when you could just pop online, rhyme, and then sell a nice amount of records, the record label started cutting back on these $1 million budget videos. It was like, why are we spending $1 million on something when you see there's what's that pop group? There's a pop group, they just on treadmills made a video on a treadmill, and it's one of the biggest videos out there. And they're like, yo, these videos are being made socially now. Like just in an instant, people are selling records without all this money being spent. Then there's this artist that's doing it independently. A lot of the independent people are making money without us. We want in on that money that they're making. So you know what? Let's not spend all this money on this artist when it's being proven by the independent artists that you don't need to spend that money. So they started cutting back heavy. You know, they were doing $1 million videos, and now they're on some vibe of like, you got a camera, do the video and prove it to us before we invest in you. We need, because a lot of people started losing money, right? There was a point in the 90s when you came out, you would go gold. Everybody would go gold, and that was like the level. Like, I just went gold, that was it. And if you went platinum, you was like mega. Then if you went like quadruple platinum, then you went diamond. There was that standard. It was a huge standard of that. All those 90s rappers that were like commercial and not underground, but commercial and street would go gold. That was it. Sell 500,000. Everybody's like, what's your first week? First week was the biggest words in the 90s. First weeks. It got to the early 2000s, it transferred in there a little bit. Now, over time, first week started getting low because of the digital. First week started being 20,000, 40,000. First weeks be 13,000. You know, some of the biggest artists you see on here on the podcast and on the internet started coming out, and they would have a lot of motion, as they say today, and then they drop the record and they sell like 2,000 physical copies. So there was a lot of understanding that the investment in where the record labels were putting their money, it wasn't coming back. The return on investment was very low, and that's what changed the game severely, to the point that they're like, let's see what your followers like, so they can kind of make projections, right? Everything's based on projections, right? You know, when you give somebody $5 and they telling you their hustle, you projecting that this. So they started seeing the projections were way lower, and instead of spending money, they want more of a short bet nowadays. So, and that's when you start getting into, let's do joint venture deals. So then you got that going on, right? Yo, let's do a joint venture. I want to partner with you now instead of, I just need a distributor now. So now everybody's like, I just need a distributor. And then the distributors are like, they're even kind of saying, okay, we want to be a part of this money as well. You know, so there's so many angles to it from that way that everybody's trying to figure out how can they make money from what's going on. So
yeah, I kind of want to touch on artists just solely seeking like a distribution deal. Like a lot of southern rappers, that's the only lane they could take, because all the big offices was in like New York. So they may highlight a priority for distribution, or link up with a third party from Universal and use their distribution company to put out their project. And a lot of times these people from down south, they will invest their own project within their own pocket. There's no company behind them. That's just raw talent with their money that they invested into the industry with their project. So like do you think it's the best bet to be an independent artist, solely be an independent artist, and seek a decent distribution deal with like like a Koch or etc.?
yeah, shout to down south, man. Shout to the south for sure, because a lot of them, and even West Coast, like Master P went to the West Coast. That's where he got his first buzz, in the Bay. But shout to them, because a lot of them was pressing up the vinyl, and then their distributor was their car trunk. That's what they were their distributor. And then they were moving, so many albums. So the way it would work too then was, you can get word from the printing press and the plants, because some of them distributors will own plants too, and they're like, yo, this independent artist is selling. We just printed up 20,000 records for them. What artist is that? And they're owning the printing plants, and they're getting in on what they're selling independently, and they want to cut deals with them and hearing about them on the streets. As far as like today, when you're trying to get a distribution deal, I think, the way to think about it is, can you do what they're doing for you or not, right? So I love work, like for instance, I love working with Stu Bangas, especially this is our second project, but I love his hustle. He changed a lot of my mindset. Where his hustle is, everything is distributed through his website, so, and you go on that website, Stu got, it's maybe 100 items. So if you go in there, you'll see my album. You might be like, let me grab the Afro album. Oh, I didn't know that he got the Chino XL album on here. Oh, I didn't know he got. So I think you have to really look at building a storefront, you know, in conjunction with your Bandcamp. And then also what you can do is holler at a distributor that's known, like a Fat Beats or another distributor, and maybe say, hey, I want to sell this through you, but I got to print it up. You get a cut of it because people have traffic at your site, and I just want my stuff to be found there, and you take a cut. So you got to kind of look at it depending on your deal and what you want to do, because not everybody want to do all the legwork, do the mailing out. Some people don't want to do all that, the mailing out and the accounting and have the Google spreadsheet and, you know, pay the distributor and make sure there's mail. You know, I don't mind doing that. I sent the order out the other day. You know, somebody ordered some CDs from me. I did a series called People Without Turntables a year ago, and it has everything that I did on vinyl when I was young that wasn't on CD. And they was like, yo, where can I get that at? I was like, go to my website. I got shirts on there. But what I have on there too, Rush, is the link to the Stu albums, the Stu website. You know what I'm saying? So what I would say is figure out what's best for you and what you like, pros and cons. You know, we got this Chat GPT stuff, right? AI. You can ask Chat, yo, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I feel best for me, this is what I don't want to do. What do you think I should do? And it's pretty good with decisions, and that's how you kind of got to do it. Quality lyricism now compared to lyricism 90s. The lyricism now is just as good as the 90s when you find the people. So if you go and you check J. Cole, you got Kendrick, you got Sue Surf is fire with the rhyming. Sue Surf, he's a battle rapper. Bars is fire though when he be rhyming. You got what's his name? What's the dude that I like? Of course I said Rashid Chappelle earlier. I like, man. Oh, you know, I'm going through my mind because I'm thinking there's people that I said I gotta start mentioning. Big Sean. I love Big Sean rhyming, but he doesn't get mentioned a lot, right? He don't get mentioned. People be like, they don't mention Big because he's so successful commercially. Big Sean be rapping though. Underground level, like the Conways, the Bennies, people like Stove God. There's people that people like out there. Jada, Jada Kiss. There's a lot of people. You know, Mickey Fax. There's people out there, y'all. You just gotta go to find what you like. You know, Fonte, you know, Pooh. There's stuff, y'all. You just gotta go. So it is there. The thing is, it's just so much on the shelf when you going shopping that you just gotta go to that section where you know, oh, this is the section right here. All this other stuff on the shelf, that's not my thing. You gotta go find it. It's a supermarket, man. Just go out there and look.
Word. Now, what advice would you give to an artist if they if they made a record that's a potential hit and they're not signed? How would they go about, you know, breaking that record through the radio? Like, I have an idea where you get it registered to BMI, right? And then you pay off a program director to pull it out the pool. But if there's another lane of doing that, like, what would you recommend that artist to do?
The first thing I would recommend was what you said. I would be like, get it registered on BMI. You know, there's been a lot of people that missed out on a lot of money because they did mixtape. And then I met them and I'd be like, yo, you got that registered? Nothing registered. I'm like, my man, all this original songs on the mixtape and you didn't register none of this. Nah, you know, I just give it out to the people. Okay, but you can register it because when it's getting played, they will find you because of the algorithms. Digitally, they find you. You got Sound Exchange, you know, that you got all these programs that find you digitally now, right? And so I would say that first. And then as far as just getting record, like radio play, I don't think radio's play is based on the record no more. It's based on how many followers you have when you give the record, right? So if the record is hot and you don't got a big following, that's what they're gonna look at first. Because they're trying to project traction. You know, this record is dope, you know what I'm saying? But like, you only got like 300 followers, so I ain't gonna play this. Oh, this record is kind of terrible, but you got 1 million followers. we're gonna make this hot because I want those million people to come tune in to our station and make me hot. Right. So it's different now as far as the integrity for it. Right. So you got to find people that's gonna respect your grind and your integrity. I don't think you can necessarily just get people to play it. I think you could do some freestyles online. That helps, right? Bring attention to yourself with freestyles because then people will be like, oh, yo, you saw that freestyle? Let me go check their music. So freestyles, podcasts like this, doing interviews and being on podcasts, starting your own podcast. I would also start thinking about, doing workshops and other community things that will get you in a community to bump into people from a different angle. Because sometimes you might bump into the radio program person on the basis of you might be at an education function on hip hop, and now y'all on a panel together. And then now y'all talking that way. And now it's like, yeah, I ain't know you rap. Yeah, you rap. Oh, yo, I like what you was talking about. Yo, send me the joint. Let me hear the joint. You built the relationship differently because they hear the other angle so much. Yo, can you play my record? Can you play my record? Can you play my record? If you might meet them in a different angle, but you got to put yourself in different areas, man. I would say you got to put yourself in different areas and arenas too.
Word. And yo, a lot of times those big companies like EMI, BMI, they do have conventions where you just go out there straight networking. So that could be a plus on, you know what I mean? Whatever movement you have going on with your team or by yourself, you can meet other people out in those events and connect and work something. Now it's just up to you to, finagle the bagel when you meet these people in high regards in those conventions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but today it is what it is. Today you gotta make yourself hot. That's just kind of how it is for the most part. So what is that? Solar system. Yeah, solar system. Me and Elzai got a song on the Stu Bangas album that put out over a little over a year ago called Two Kings. So check us out on that. We're going back and forth, 4 bars a piece, back and forth. Elzai is super dope, man. He's super dope. Underground, some of my favorite underground rappers of all time. I would say Master Ace. I would say probably G-Rap, if we want to like say people that didn't really make it commercially. G-Rap is actually my favorite rapper of all time. I did a song with him that was dope on Champion Sounds album. If you get a chance, check that. I would say Master Ace is probably one of the most underrated because his longevity to now, from then to now, and he's on a high scale right now, currently, and he came out in the 80s, and he's like tours the world with him and Marco Polo put out classic albums. And then G-Rap is in that same area. G-Rap is my favorite, like lyrically. G-Rap was the best in New York, but just didn't have the record. So that kind of can give you an idea of how it was. Because when Kane came out, Kane had the records, and G-Rap had his different persona. He had a gangster persona. Kane had a smooth persona, which spoke more commercially, but he also made the great records. G-Rap had a street persona, but it really trying to find attraction was there until he ran really into Trackmasters, and Ill Street Blues is one of the best records, hip hop of all time too. So yeah, so that's 2 there. I worked with Sean Price on the first EMC album. We got a song called Get Some. And I actually told a story about us being overseas, and we did a show called at Splash, and it was like 30,000 people. And Sean Price came out and did his verse, and the crowd went and sang. So yeah, Sean Price to me is one of the artists that I've he would probably be like, I liked Sean Price when he used to rhyme, and then Sean Price when he went solo, just like lyrically just made everybody afraid, basically. Like you just was like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what he said, I'm in the hotel with Ganja, Dope Needle, Don Cheadle, Hotel Rwanda. It was just like the lyrics on them solo albums, like me buying Jesus Price, and I had to start buying those albums because the lyrics were so crazy. But like to me, like the earlier bars that he was doing was dope, but when he went by himself, it just was just like a whole nother like battery in his back. It's like he just put everything on his shoulder and said like I'm him, you know. Yeah, Monkey Bar is classic. There's so many. I could play a Sean Price song right now, and the rhymes will make me think of more patterns. Like he puts together stuff you never think of.
Yo, but when it comes to Sean Price, I liked a lot of the records he did with Helter Skelter. And
Yep.
Helter Skelter's style is so, oh my, yo, his voice, the way he rhymes and his wordplay. I gave everything all across the board an A plus, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yo, what are your thoughts on Helter Skelter rhyming with Sean Price? Like, you don't think they had a few classic records together? And shout
No.
out to OGC, Original Gun Clappers.
Oh yeah, shout out to Helter Skelter for sure. I liked Helter Skelter, but I would say, like all of us as rappers, each project you want to get better, right? So almost look at it like Nas with Illmatic, love Illmatic, but then you got people that'll say it was written is better. You know what I'm saying? You got people that feel that way, right? And you got people that feel it's maybe even rhyming better and all that. So you got people that feel different ways. For me, Helter Skelter to me is like the Illmatic era of them there. And then you just when Sean Price breaks off, he becomes his own Illmatics as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the evolution of rapping and being a rapper. You're trying to figure out how do I get better? And he proved that, yo, you can just keep elevating and getting better over time. I would say you just look at a lot of us, a lot of the new art, a lot of the old artists that are still doing it now. A lot of us have gotten better. We don't sound the same. I don't got the high pitched rhyming voice like I used to. We don't sound the same.
Yo, I kind of want to touch on that a little bit, man, because and that's why I brought up your thoughts on the evolution of the hip hop culture to what it is now. And it's like, yo, okay, when I was coming up, you know what I mean, back in my younger years, yo, when we had ciphers, I don't know if you remember that TV show Highlander. Remember that TV show Highlander? The niggas used to come through battle niggas that was immortal with swords.
Oh yeah, with swords. That's what I was.
Yeah, with swords and all that. That's how I look like how the culture was with the art of MCing. Because when you bump into a cipher, right, and you meeting new MCs, that's nice. Yo, that make you want to go home and sharpen up your pen game. Know what I mean? So I feel like in a sense, we like how we used to what's the word I'm looking for? Like link up and commune amongst each other. Like we kind of lost that aspect of the culture where we fellowship with each other by having these ciphers, man. Know what I mean? So like I want to get your thoughts on that, man, before I hop on the next question.
Yeah, I literally talk about this kind of often. I'm like, when the last time you walked outside and saw a cipher? Like, really? Growing up in New York, you actually had to have like at least 4 or 5 rhymes on you because somebody would approach you as a stranger anywhere and say, yo, what's up? You rap? That was a question. Just because you dress a certain way, you're going to get asked, do you rap? Even if you don't rap. You would just be like, yo, you rap? Nah, I don't rap. Oh, I thought you rap. You like you rap. Because they trying to get into a battle with you. Everybody trying to find out, when I teach hip hop, I tell people the first way of going viral back in the days was rhyming in ciphers and graffiti on trains. So you would tag up on a train and your name went across the city and you were viral, right? So I show the equivalent, right? That's the equivalent. And that's the same way you went viral rapping back then. So people would do that because then they would meet you and be like, oh, all right, where you from? Then they say, where you from? Then you go back home. Yeah, I met this dude from, he was in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. What's his name? Oh, yo, my aunt live in Bed-Stuy. Even though you're in the Bronx, my aunt live in Bed-Stuy. What's that? Let me call my aunt. You know this dude? Oh, that's my man. And then now you viral because now you known in the Bronx and you known in Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy. Then now y'all got y'all crews there. Then you go battle meet somebody in Queens. And you starting to go viral. That's what that was back then. So the other thing that I wanted to say about that was what we're missing too is the phone call to hear my rhyme. You remember that? Yo, we missing that, Rush. Remember that? Yo, what's good with you? What you doing? Yeah, I'm chilling. Yo, want you to hear this verse. We don't do you want you to hear this verse no more. Dudes, I don't know last time I spoke to Punch, me and Punch talked. pretty often, and I remember us talking about like, yeah, and I got this rhyme like kind of recently, but like we were talking about like, yo, I wrote this bar. Like, what do you think of this bar? What do you think of this bar? But we ain't going to the whole verse. Years ago, it used to be like, yo, whole verse. If you think about, if you ever hear that story, how AZ met Nas, they met each other rhyming through the phone. Their boys called on like a three-way, said, my man, meet my man. Yo, my man, he got bars. He's from East New York. It's my man, Queensbridge. Yo, spit. He rhymed on the phone. Nas rhymed on the phone. Oh, yo, you sound nice. Come to the studio. We don't even rhyme on the phone no more, man.
Man, I miss those days, man. I mean, I should accept the new era. I got love for the new era, but you know, it's just, I don't know, man, it just hits home. I mean, hearing your testimony on that was like, yo, damn, good old days, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
these are the things I teach in the hip hop course. You know, it's like, you know, how it was then and then what it is now. And but then also there's an equivalent, right? So I can't be like, what's the word I want to say, like ignorant to their way of doing it is their way of doing it, and it is the same way. It's just a different version of what we did. So that's what I have to make sure I'm staying in tune with. The version of what we did is now updated. You see what I'm saying? So the ciphers went digitally. They went into the forums. They went into the threads, and then that's how people started getting to know each other, typing the rhyme instead of actually face to face. My favorite rap song off of one of my albums, I would say, The Oldest. Check that out. That's on the Photo album. That's one of my favorite songs, The Oldest. And then I would say Test of Time is on New Beginning album, in which the New Beginning album, Sophisticated, that same album, I wrote a book called, it's right here, it's based on that album. So check that book out. That book, if you get a chance, Sophisticated, is all the rhymes, me breaking them down every 4 bars, what I meant. And it also made it on Amazon top 10. It made it Amazon top 10. And then I wrote a kid's book right here as well. And those are all online. And yeah, so I would say check the Oldest, my favorite, and then Test of Time. So Test of Time, Sophisticated. I don't know. Oh, thank you. Man, I got so much stuff I could promote on here too. I got a songwriting course that I licensed Sophisticated to the University of Miami on their website. It's called Organized Rhyme. So it's a lot of stuff I'll promote for y'all so y'all can check it out. But I was gonna say, Sophisticated, on that album, New Beginning, and everybody out there, there's a song called Test of Time. If your parents are alive or grandparents are alive, I tell people to play that song to them, or read the lyrics to them, or for your spouse, anybody that if your spouse, Test the Time, because it takes you through the generations of a relationship, right? The beginning when they first met, the second go around when they start struggling and they're like trying to live together and having kids, and then the last one is when they're in their 70s and they pass away, stuff like that. And man, it's one of the most powerful records to play for somebody, or read to them. And then if I pick something on the new album, there's a song on the new album called The Realtor. And a lot of people like that. And it's me being a realtor, showing you all the houses and how they was like trap houses and all that in the neighborhood. And like craziness, me walking you around, if you check out The Realtor. I'm just like saying, this used to be a trap house, then the blackout, and then the knockout, we selling this spot, the bank might repossess it, we got it for less than, and I'm a realtor selling you the spot, but telling you all the foul stuff that's wrong with it too. Yeah, that's a big record right now. It actually is on Insomniac Magazine's top track right now, top notch track. So check out The Realtors. So conceptually, those will be some of them, man. But if you just check the albums, the concepts and the ideas, man. Those are some, and I got a joint called a yearbook. When I talk about what happened to everybody in the yearbook when I came from since then. So so I'm going through the yearbook. Mike Mikowski, he in the Louskies, Wendy Mouskies. Damn, he lost to the Nowskis. You know, I give you whatever happened to the yearbook. You know, I said yearbook. People became career crooks. Some was in the yearbook and end up getting booked for years. Man, it's just you got to check them out, man. So I'm here promoting a lot of stuff, but this is a lot of stuff that I'm doing that people don't.
But yo, hold on. There's a record you did with Stu Bangas called "Nominated." That beat is a masterpiece. Yo, listen. Was it easy to write those lyrics to that beat? Because yo, that beat is impeccable, bro.
Yeah, you know, I remember writing that too. I was in Orlando, and I just was sitting there. And I just know it gave a celebratory thing, celebrated all the years of working elevated, you know, and I just like, it felt very celebratory. So then I just wanted to make sure I was really focused on the flow. I don't know if that link is going to work, Seven, but there's a link I put in there that takes you to my rhyme course that I license. Yeah, so that I license that. So every time y'all take it, they pay me. And yeah, so that's another level of just
Wordsworth, put it in the back chat so I could put it in the link so they can actually click on it and it'll take them directly to the site.
Okay, I'll in a private chat, you want me to do it? Got that.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, the private chat so I could because I mean you put it in there, but I don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah, that's cool. It's all good. Yeah, so nominated. Yeah, writing that, man, is really for me when I'm writing, man, it's really about getting that cadence first. Like, how am I gonna come on here rhyming? My thing that I tell everybody, Rush, is like, I don't let the beat beat me. You know what I'm saying? That's my mindset. I can't let the beat beat me, you know, and that's kind of how I roll with it. So yeah, right into it was super dope. It was fun. And that's kind of the way that I went about it, you know. Don't let the beat beat you. And that's my mindset every time I get a track. You know, because you can get a beat and be like, this beat is crazy. And then you hear somebody rhyme and it'd be like, I would have killed that. I would have killed that. You know what I'm
you know what? Like, I want to get you, man, this is dope. I'm asking you this, but okay, like when you hear a beat, right? Like, to me, right, I feel like, the beat is already speaking to you, right? And how you interpretate the beat is by listening to what it's telling you, and then you're able to formulate a verse for it. Like, do you think that's a good method for somebody to be able to rhyme a ill joint on a well good beat to flow on?
Is a method? Yeah, it is a method, you know. First, one of the best things to do is to actually take the traditional way of coming up with songs, and that starts with scatting. Right. So that's like the origin of songwriting. One of the origins is being able to scat singing. If y'all don't know what scatting is, a lot of blues people used to do it like right, and everybody scats differently, so you get different rhythms. I think I always go flow first. Flow is more important than lyrics. Hook is more important than verse, right? So you have to understand and prioritize and be okay with understanding that your verse is cool, but the hook is more important than your verse. Despite how dope you rap, it don't matter if the hook isn't decent enough to make me want to hear it, right? And you got to be self-aware of just the process of what it is. If you're not going to be honest with the process, then you're not going to grow. You're not going to be able to evolve. You know, you ain't going to be able to evolve. Yeah. Solar system pacing, man. If he just speeds up, and he'll be updated, you know, he'll be current, but he still does the slow like he's in the studio with Freeway, and that's not going to get it done today because Now battle rap is theatrics, it's not rapping. That's why, like, you see how Rum Nitty became so great once he added performance. So he used to just be a rapper, and then he added performance. Now he walks around, right? So once Cassidy gets into that bag of pace and walking around comfortable in delivery, he'll be a problem, because the rhymes are there. It's just the pacing makes you not want to hear the rhymes, because we're standing still with no drums and no beat. So you can't give us that slow, monotonous flow. So,
Okay, my next question for you. Okay, there's 5 elements to hip hop, right? There's MCing, DJing, breakdancing, graffiti art, and then there's knowledge. Like, this question I got for you, right? Do you think comic books should be a part of the elements as well? Because a lot of MCs that are from my era, they're real knowledgeable on not only comic book characters, but they implement some of the characters into their persona and also into their lyrics. So, like, I want to get your perspective on that.
it's not part of one. I don't think comic books would be like an element, not that, but comic books and what it's not really about comic books. It's about whoever you are is part of hip hop. It just that's bottom line. If you in the anime, you say anime bar, as we know, battle rap, heavy anime bars, whatever you are, and you bring it into hip hop and rap about it, it's the way. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So you could rap about anime. If it's fire, it's fire. If you could rap and you might be a good at bowling, so you could do it like that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So you could do. It's not about comic books. As we see that Marvel just dropped a comic book with all the artists on there. Mobb Deep is in it, Slick Rick's in it, Ghost is in it, right? And that's through Mass Appeal. Mass Appeal and Marvel did a deal recently. So it's not even about if you're in the comic books. If that's who you are, then rap. That's bottom. That's just how it is. Whatever you are about, you rap it. That's really it.
Word. I don't want to hold you up, man. Thank you so much for coming through, man, and definitely keep in touch with me, man. Any last words for the people out here before you bounce?
You just get that Stu Bangas, man. That Stu Bangas and Wordsworth album is called Chemistry. If you go to Stu Bangas YouTube page, all those videos are out now. We got like 4 videos out right now. We got a visualizer for the realtor, and then we got a video for Nominated. We got a video for Don't Get in the Way. We got a couple videos out. So just get the album. That's what I would say. Get the album. It's called Chemistry. And if you could order the vinyl, and there's a CD and vinyl, order that from Brutal Music. I believe it's brutalmusicstore.ecwit.com. So get the vinyl. That supports us. If you look on my wall up here, so this is right up here. That's the other Stu Bangas album. We had like a green splatter one up there that we did, and then that's my Tribe Called Quest plaque right there. And this wall here, I shot a video for a song on there called Chemistry. So I got some chemistry signs made. So, support it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, y'all, that's what I've been up to, y'all. I do a lot of education stuff with writing, license, that stuff. I could talk about that too, being able to license a program to a university, so a lot of that stuff, y'all, just remember, all of y'all are a book. Write a book, y'all. Write a book. The author title of me supersedes any other title, so I could talk about a lot of stuff, y'all. So check out my please go to my YouTube, Wordsworth-TV. Check my Instagram at Wordsworth BKLYN, and hit me up on there. I actually do one-on-one sessions with writing. So I have people from Australia. I'm getting up 5 in the morning because 8 p.m. is their time. And I get up 5 in the morning. I do one-on-one sessions. If you want me to go through your writing and read it with you, and then break down how you can write better, I do that as well. So, and I got a residency writing residency coming up in Fort Myers for 6 weeks, every 6 Saturdays in a row. I do a lot of stuff, man. I'm doing a lot of different stuff. So get that album, man. And check out the Naps and Dreads album too, y'all. I got an album with Naps and Dreads called Quick Routes that came out in November. So 2 albums in the span of 3 months, basically.
Yeah, I'm definitely tapped into most of your work, man, and I'm greatly appreciated that you came through. Wordsworth, you are a living legend. Know what I mean? And again, man, thanks for coming through, man. It's your boy Russ. Get ready to sign out. Seek wisdom, practice humility, and those remain sucker free. You heard? I'm out. One.
Peace.